This is the Hollywood Harry, tied on a Gamakatsu SC15 1.0 hook. Hey guys, good morning. Harry asked me to do a quick little demo on the Hollywood Harry. So we're going to tie that up real quick. This one's a little chewed up, but that's what he looks like, and they absolutely killed the trout down in the Outer Banks. So we'll get started real quick here. In the bobbin, we've got the UTC 140 fluorescent chartreuse thread. So I'm just going to wrap all the way back to the bend of the hook. And right about at the bend, we're going to do just a little thread bump that helps keep the tail up. All right, once you got your thread bump there, work your way back up. And I like to put 2 little thread bumps also about there so that we can use our medium eyes. These have the green with the black pupil. So attach your eyes. Some overlapping wraps. Then also do some under wraps. Make sure they're even. I like to make sure these are attached really good, because once the trout really start slamming it, the eyes have a tendency to roll. So I really get them on there good, and then we're going to add a little bit of super glue to keep them in place. Okay. Add a little super glue. Okay, next thing we're going to use is the Ultra Chenille standard fluorescent chartreuse also. And I like to take the section and measure it on the vise here. You want the tail to be a little long. And I like to double it over. That prevents it from pulling out on any short strikes, and I get it right up against the head, or I just put that super glue and that'll hold it in tight. And I'm just going to wrap back towards that thread bump. And you see that little piece there is hanging. I like to keep that there just to secure those couple of under wraps. You see the tail sticks out there straight then. Take that little nub and cut it off. Need better scissors. There we go. With that little bit of tag, I'll do it again. Just pull that down. That also helps keep it up. A couple of tight wraps there. And then at the end of the tail, I usually take a lighter and just hit it a little bit so that it doesn't fray. So now you can see tail looks really long, but super effective. The signature hairy tail. All right, next we're going to use some ice dub in pearl. I like to pull out a decent sized chunk of this, about like that, and then work it in my fingers. Try and get at least a lot of it going in the same direction. Kind of even those fibers up. You're gonna lose some, but try and get it so that I can kind of twist it in the middle there and get like a good clump. All right, so right behind the tail then, we're gonna take that, hit it in the middle, some thread wraps, fold it back, and then I kind of like to stick my thumb on there and roll it over that attachment point. And then get a good wrap there. So then I'll just pull off anything that didn't stay. Since I tied the very first one, I found this comes in a couple of different colors. And it's like a shimmer fringe, essentially the same thing. So I'll take a little bit of that, stretch that out, clip it, and then we're gonna kind of add that over top. And just tie it in. You can either pull that little bit back or you can clip it off. I have a tendency to leave it in just to some extra flash. All right. Also helps build that body up a little bit. Okay. At this point, if you wanted to use some flash or something, I have this Mirage Flashaboo here. I'll take like two strands of that. Kind of uneven them a little. 2 strands, I'll fold it over, cut it in the middle. I got 4 then. We'll just kind of lay that on top, and that'll blend in with that shimmer fringe, add a little bit more flash and color. Yeah, this looks good. All right, this is the hardest part of this whole fly. So we're just gonna do a dubbing loop. Wrap twice. Come back up to the head here. Take a little bit of wax. I like to wax the thread. It helps keep the marabou in place. Put the spinner in there, and then I like to kind of use the bobbin to hold it open. Let's move some of that wax. So this is the most important thing to this fly, is this Spirit River UV fluorescent chartreuse marabou. This stuff's amazing, and the fish can really see it in the murky water of the Outer Banks. So we're gonna find a nice puffy plume here. And all this stuff at the bottom, you want to get rid of this. All this stuff that's just kind of like matted together and straggly. I'm just going to pull that stuff off, throw it away. All right, so we have a pretty good looking plume here. And then what I like to do is sort of pull these feathers down and fan them out on the side. Get them nice and wispy. Just open them up a little bit. Then we're going to take our trusty Swiss CDC clamp here, and I just come up just like that. And then I like to flip it over. It's a little easier to cut that way. And then we're going to cut right up the feather like that. So that's what you're left with in your clip. Flip it back over. It's in your right hand. Pop the bobbin out there. And I'm just going to insert this into the dubbing loop. I find it's easier if I get the clip in and then pull the thread tight with the wax on it and then release the clip. And you get all that nice wispy fiber in there, and then we're just going to spin it with the dubbing spinner. I think on the original one I only did one of these. I found that it gives it a little bit more bulk and body if I do 2 dubbing loops. So we'll do 2 dubbing loops on this one, and it also helps so that you can really get a nice head on it also. So I like to spin this until it's pretty tight. And then we're going to take the Velcro brush and bring it through there and release any of the trapped fiber. All right, that looks pretty good. So just take a little Velcro brush and just kind of run it through there and really fluff that up. So it looks super wispy. Now, pull that up above, and we're just gonna peel all that back like a brush. And we're gonna start to wrap. And with each wrap, I'm constantly pulling those fibers back so that they blend in, and they'll blend with that flash. Really help build a nice wispy body. And once it got wet, that ice dub and stuff really started to blend through while we were stripping it. Okay, at this point, since I made such a nice long loop, that helps. I can wrap those in tight, capture it with my thread. Really kind of crank down on that and build that up a little bit. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut off that excess dubbing loop. Careful not to cut your thread. Give that a couple turns and clean it up. Awesome, looks good. And then we're gonna do one more dubbing loop. This one doesn't have to be quite as long. 2 wraps, 3 wraps around the loop. That tight, and then I like to just move my thread out of the way up here to the eye of the hook. We're gonna clip in with the dubbing spinner again. Wax the thread. Give it a little slack on your bobbin so that you can just kind of stick that in there and keep it open. Then we're gonna do the same thing again. We're gonna take the other side of that feather and just kind of pull all those fibers out. So they're a little straighter. This stem has a funky bend to it. Gonna take that CDC clamp again. And come right up the stem and trap those fibers of that marabou. Just a couple, it's okay. And we're gonna clean up the stem again. So that we have all those fuzzy marabou fibers trapped once again inside the clip. And then pop your bobbin out of there. Put the clip in. Snug it down on those fibers and pull the clip out. And then we're going to spin it again. Once we're spun up, same thing, we're going to use that Velcro brush and pull some of those trapped fibers out. All we're doing here is really just bulking up in the back, and then it gives us some to wrap around the eyes to build up the head. So that all nice and wispy. And then same thing, we're gonna pull everything back. That thread out of the way. And we're gonna wrap once. And then this is where I'm gonna basically do a figure 8 over the head and constantly preen these fibers back. So we're gonna come over the eye, that way, preen everything back. Over the eye this way. Preen everything back. And I like to use that little bit extra to wrap right behind the eye of the hook. We're going to capture that with our thread, that dubbing loop. Then we're going to cut that off, the dubbing loop. Careful not to cut your thread. Kind of maneuver all this around the eyes. Really pull it back. Build up a little bit of a head. And lots of times I'll pull my thread out of the way, pull the lighter up, just get it a little close, and it'll burn off all those little errant hairs from the marabou that were up at the eye. So from that point, we're just gonna get it on there tight, whip finish. Snug that down. Clip our thread. Get a little UV. Work that around with the bobbin. Secure those thread wraps. And then we'll hit it with the UV light. And you can see how this thing just absolutely glows under the UV light. It's dry. Sometimes I'll take the scissors here and just clean this up around the eyes a little bit. Some of those errant hairs. There you have it, the Hollywood Harry. Thing is killer for sea trout in the Outer Banks. All right, have a good one, guys. Hope you tie some up, get fishing, tight lines.